Have you ever wondered why sometimes God delays certain prayers? Not because of, God is wicked or God does not want to answer your prayers, but sometimes because, most of times, once those prayers are answered, your heart posture changes. You understand? Now, if you notice, when things are not going for people, they tend to be very dependent on God. And when things start flowing for people, they tend to run away from God. If I start even looking at their successes by being measured of, what they have done, you understand that kind of thing. And these kind of things have been repeated and repeated. Now, sometimes God always likes to also ground people in a way that, once you are grounded properly, then those prayers that have been delayed, that becomes answered. Because once you answer those prayers too fast, you might actually forget the God who did that for you. You understand? And I'm going to explain what I mean in 2 Chronicles verse 26. I'm going to use King Uzziah for an example. You understand? Now, King Uzziah became king at the age of 17. He was loved by God. He was a very young king, you understand? But he was trained properly. He was helped by God in everything he was doing, through men, through kings, even the kingdom. Everything was going well for him, to the extent that even increased to becoming a very, very great king. You understand? But something now changed along the line. What now changed? He started feeling too powerful for God. In the sense that there was a point in time where, he felt he was too big, in the sense that, he cannot just be a king. He wants to go and do something else. Remember, in the Old Testament, being a priest means that only you can go to the altar, even if you are a king. You understand? Now, what did he do? He now went to the altar to now blow incense. You understand that kind of thing? And when he went to do that, the priest warned him and told him that this thing you are doing is not right. But no, he even argued and resisted. And what happened? God now placed him on leprosy. And after that leprosy, if you read the Bible very well, you understand that, he was removed from the sight of people till the day of his death. Because of what? He felt too proud to actually listen to God, because he felt that, he has attained this point of, stamina and stance. You understand? And that is the very big problem with so many people today. You understand? You are praying for good things, you are praying for this, and you're so dependent on God. But once God does that thing for you, you run away instantly. But you also forget that, sometimes God even allow these kind of things to happen. So you fall down to your destruction and come back to God. That's why most of the times you always pray this prayer that, God, if it is not your will for me for now, let this prayer not come to pass. You understand? Because at the end of the day, no matter how successful or no matter how gifted you become, always try to stay humble. Because the moment you start removing humility and start putting pride, you start putting yourself in the sense of destruction. And once destruction start coming in, you might actually see everybody as bad, even whilst they are still trying to tell you the truth. So the main question you should be asking yourself is that, can my heart handle the prayers I am actually praying?